Well, I've done a wide variety of blogging in my classes, everything from individual reactions to questions. For instance, I've posted extensions of the classroom kind of questions. If we're discussing Fahrenheit 451, you know, we've been looking at what censorship looks like, and so we'll have an extension of the classroom through a question like that.
I like it a lot better than other classes because instead of just going home and writing something, we can all sort of have a discussion together online. Because if there's something that you want to say in class or a question that you didn't get to ask, you can go on the blog and just ask it, or you can talk to everybody and see what everyone else is saying.
I think it's just a great way of learning because, yes, it is student-based, and it just helps one another with their different ideas, like connect and make other people understand, not just from like the teacher telling you what the answer is.
It allows you to see what other people are thinking and then go off of their ideas, and it allows you to expand because you not only have your own opinions, but you're getting what everyone else is saying too.
Well, it's nice just because then if you're ever confused on a part, you can like ask a question and like post it right after school, and then you can come back maybe like 2 hours later and then people can answer, and then it just helps go outside the classroom discussion, I guess.
And then I really liked the extensions that continued outside of the classroom, where we just had a subject to post on and where we were supposed to talk about it. I like that. Just, it's a nice, easy way to continue a discussion without going into long, lengthy, tedious homework, because then I can like talk about things we did in class outside of the classroom on the blog, and it makes a real difference being able to talk about something after the class, and then I keep thinking about it, and then it like leaves a bigger imprint on my brain, I guess.
I think the really unique thing about blogging is that it's taking the classroom outside of the classroom. So you can have discussions outside of class. You don't have to be in class to have a discussion. So you can go home at night and you can go back and you have a blog question to answer, and you can go back to what you had talked about in class and expand more on your ideas.
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunity for extension pretty much outside the classroom.
But through the discussion posts, we can brainstorm a whole lot of other things, and we can have a written record of some of our conversation that we can go back to and refer to. So you may be reading through and see something that you don't remember, but you can gain something really valuable from that comment, and you can add on more to it, and you can say what you think about it.
And it really gives you a chance to read what other people have to say and sort of take their views into account and then post what you want to say. And it's all handled very maturely, and we discuss a lot of serious things without any problems, and it's just done really well.
Mr. Meyer's class is actually the best example of blogging outside of class. He posted a question at the beginning of the year just based on your political views, and we were just supposed to respond how we wanted to, and the blog actually got over 150 hits on it, or over 150 comments, and who knows how many hits on it, which was just kids in the class voicing their opinions, debating with each other, and then, you know, keeping the discussion going.
The thing that I really like about blogging, not just live blogging, but regular blogging, is how it kind of changes the classroom experience. For instance, well, with both types of blogging, you can, instead of the teacher just telling you, this is what the book means, or telling you, write a paper on what you think the book means, you get to go in and discuss with all your different classmates what they think the book means. You throw out your ideas on the live blog, and they come back and say, I think you're wrong because of this. Or they react to your response and say, oh, I agree with you, here's another reason why that sounds good. And so instead of the teacher kind of leading the way, it gives us as students a chance to interact with each other and come up with our own ideas of what the book really means to us.
It really has expanded the discussions outside the classroom. There's a lot we would like to debate in class, but we don't really have time to debate. So it's actually been fun to kind of take those discussions outside the classroom.
Had my students use blogs to kind of extend discussion in class, and probably the most successful part of that has been making it an optional outlet for them for if they don't get to say enough in class or get to express what they wanted to in class, and they can go to the blog later and add some things to that.
We've also done things using Blogger as a scribe post so that the students keep track of the things we're doing in class, and then they post that up there, almost kind of like a tally of events that we've done in the classroom that day. And then what's great about that is that the kids that have missed in class, they can simply go check that as a reference for, oh, I see what happened in class.
And so what we do is we type and write about what we did that day and like all the homework and stuff, so everyone can see it. And
yeah, this is really good if you're absent or you just forgot what you have to do for homework, which I know I've used that a couple of times, but
yeah, and you can add a personal touch and it's fun.
We also do Scribe Blogging, where one student a day types up things on Blogger that we did during the day, and they make them pretty creative sometimes, and so people who missed class can look back at what we did during class and the homework if they're at home, so they don't really miss out.
We've also used it for something called live blogging, where we've had all the students sign in to one particular post, and then they've carried on a discussion separate from what maybe another group in class is discussing. And that's been really amazing to see the connections and the discussions that have occurred through that, you know, just in comparison to things that have been done before. Typically I'd have students write responses to me and I would respond back to them. But now it's taken on a whole new life where these kids are actually just interacting with one another, where, you know, I can chime in my 2 cents, but they don't even need my 2 cents. They're willing to debate and discuss amongst one another without my need to, you know, oversee the whole process.
Well, last year especially, we did Fishbowl too, except the only difference was people on the outside only had to take notes. This is different. Now the people on the outside can actually communicate with one another so that they are part of the discussion, not just left out. And it's a new way of learning, so that even if you aren't talking, like even the quieter people get to have their own opinion in the discussion.
I personally like the Fishbowl Blogging the best because I'm a quieter person. And so I don't like to talk when I'm in discussions, but when you're typing, it feels much safer and you can say what you want to say and get it across.
Because in the Fishbowls, you make so many connections just back and forth between books that now I'll go into like history class and he'll mention something like World War II, and like we just read about that, and like Farewell to Manslaughter, so then it just helps like make connections and remember things, and it's kind of nice.
It helps a lot because I know last year in 8th grade when we didn't have computers or Blogger, the outside circle kind of just sat there listening, maybe not paying attention, and then with the computers and Blogger this year, then we can have our own discussion on the outside of the circle and be involved.
Yeah.
Even if we're not on the inside.
And it's also usually 2 different, like completely different topics, so you're kind of like you're listening to the inner circle, but you're also like focusing on the outer circle, so you're kind of like doing 2 different things.
And the part I like about blogging is that you can write your questions out or your responses out, and you can spend more time making them deeper and more thought out, and you can add your thoughts and just organize it and then build points on that.
What's nice about that too is you can also look back later and see what you discussed, whereas if you just, you know, discuss it in class, you don't have a written thing where you can actually reference what you've discussed.
Everybody's thoughts and ideas can be heard in comments. And there's really no competition instead of like there is in the inner circle of the Fishbowl. Because you're in the outer circle and you have this opportunity of blogging, you see a lot more things you really wouldn't if you didn't have this opportunity. A lot of students that really don't feel comfortable speaking within a large group or in front of a class, and yet still have several ideas and comments that are really valid and really do benefit everybody else in the group that's there. And they really do a good job of really giving them a way to get through to everybody through that.
So I think it is pretty incredible how far we've come, that there's like hundreds of conversations pretty much going on, because you have a bunch in the inner circle and then you have a lot in the outer circle, because it could just be 2 people talking or 5 people, or everyone could be talking about the same thing.
What I really like about live blogging is it gives people like me who aren't as good at public speaking a chance to formulate their thoughts and think about what they want to say before they post it, and then they can read other responses and kind of help change their ideas depending on what other people said.
I've also blogged for my professional development through a 21st century group of teachers. which has been interesting. We've definitely gotten some debates started there. But it's kind of helped me clarify my thinking, but I think more than that, my language, because blogging really forces you to be very succinct and very specific about what you mean, and realize that sometimes your language can be misinterpreted or misunderstood.
The reflective blogging has been amazing, especially this year, because I've had teachers commenting on my personal blog who I would never speak to ordinarily, just because there's not enough time to kind of speak to them face to face. I even have teachers from schools that I never knew before, teachers who I have no idea who they are, who take the time to respond to my blog, and so it's been pretty amazing that way. I also have students who are not even my students anymore, who just take the time to comment on my reflective blog, and that always just kind of blows me away, that they would take the time to read and write and reflect, and not for a grade, but just because it's a time for us to kind of talk on the same plane, adult to adult or learner to learner.
Well, one thing I immediately thought of was the accountability from my kids, because one big thing with posting anything publicly out on the internet is that they're much more accountable for what's put up there. When they're just writing to the teacher, it's just me reading their thoughts, me seeing their observations. But when you put something up in the public domain, you're creating a whole new community of learners for people to react and to see what you have to say. And I think that's the accountability that comes with that has been a huge change, where they can't simply make a statement and put it out there. They have to be able to defend, to support it, to think critically about what they want to put out and what they're hearing from others. And I think that really has changed the whole dynamics of the classroom, because no one wants to, as they say, look like a fool out there. And so they really do a good job of making sure they're proofreading things before they put it out there, and they're making sure that they are listening to each other's ideas and responding thoughtfully to what one another said. And I think that's a big change.
I just say that you need to make sure that you're careful with what you're saying always, and that you don't give away some kind of information. But other than that, you can really use it as a useful tool.
I think every classroom should do it, because it's really helpful, and it lets you spread your ideas, and not only can your class see them, but other classes can go onto that blog and read them too, and so it's really helpful to form your opinions.
I like being able to connect, and it makes me feel more informed, and it makes me feel smart. I think other people would agree with me too.
Just that I think it's really changing the way we think and the way we can put our input in what other people are thinking too, and then we can all put our thoughts together into one thing and then just mold that and fix that and do it in a much faster and more efficient way.
We can sort of teach ourselves and learn from each other and kind of formulate our own opinions about what is happening in the book or whatever.
It's an awesome opportunity for connecting so far beyond just the people here at our school, but connecting our school to people throughout the entire world. It really connects most of the human network, as you've seen probably trademarked somewhere. We all can be connected through this internet, and this wide expanse, and the miles just disappear with this advent of online blogging.
We love Blogger, yes we do. We love Blogger, how about you?
I think when you blog with your students, you kind of get a more personal interaction with them, which seems kind of strange because it's through a computer, but you do kind of create a feeling of community that goes beyond just the classroom. So I definitely have enjoyed that. The kids come forward with ideas they want to talk about on the blog, which is kind of nice. So I think that what it's done for me is kind of help them think about topics outside of the classroom. But I also think it's helped us create a sense of that we're a learning community. It's not just within four walls that we learn, it's in the greater world that we learn. And so when you take ideas that you encounter in your everyday life and you bring them into the blog, that's kind of interesting for them to see how different topics relate to each other.
I think that probably the most powerful thing about blogging is just that it walks that line between what's private and what's public in a way that other forums don't necessarily, because when you're writing, it feels almost as though you're writing in a diary, and so you feel this, this kind of need to be really honest and really straightforward, but then at the same time, at the touch of a button, the whole world can read what you've written, and that's both, it's frightening, but at the same time, it's inspiring too, and so
I think it teaches us that, and not just students, but teachers as well, that not only do we have a voice, but we have a voice that the whole rest of the world wants to hear.
If you don't try it, you'll never know of the greatness of it.